You're listening to the Law Frog Radio Show with David McDivitt and Ross Ford on Kilo 94.3 FM. Presented by McDivitt Law Firm.
94.3 Kilo, Break the Law, one of our many intro theme songs for the following segment is The Monster is Here. He's a frog. He's half lawyer. He's half frog. Oh, now my thing's not working. Hey! I'm hitting the button, right, Dave? You can see me hitting the button. There it is. Boom. That's all right. That was actually pretty good. I thought it was working for a second. I think your system is crashed. System is crashed. But he's here. He's amongst us. The lawyer of the month, Dave McDivitt. Welcome back, buddy. How's the holidays and all that?
Ross, was good. That was really good. I was telling you off the air, I got a sharp knife for...
That's dangerous.
Yeah, I know.
Never give Dave McDivitt a sharp object. I thought that was like one of the rules, like almost like gremlins. You don't feed them after midnight.
No, yeah, or get them wet.
I don't know. You were a chef.
I'm not, but I want to be. No,
so they just give you a sharp knife. Have you ever wielded one of these monsters?
Ross, has somebody ever come over to your house and then you've kind of whipped out that sharp knife that you have and you've impressed them, right?
Or not?
Well, in my mind, I will impress people that come home like, oh my gosh, David, look at your knife.
So it's just a kind of a calling card thing.
Yeah.
Like a social status.
That's right. Of course, I cut myself, seriously, as I unwrap it. And I lift one of them up and all of a sudden I cut my finger. Oh my gosh, my mom said, this is from my mom. She said, maybe I shouldn't have done this.
Those are no joke, man. I worked at a restaurant for a few years washing dishes and was shown by the chef about what not to do with some of these knives. You lose a finger. Fast.
Boom, boom, boom.
Fast. All right, we don't have the music and the fanfare, but we do have all kinds of things to discuss. One is just a quick get to know you I did with your sister, as your lovely sister came in to join us for the last of the episodes last year. We talked about...
What'd you think of her? She's a neat person, isn't she?
Great girl, man. She's awesome. And so her husband, I realized the skills her husband has as far as his video and video editing, and he's working on a cool documentary in Alaska right now, as she told me about.
Yeah, not Liam Neeson skills in Taken. He has a totally different set of skills.
I have a certain set of skills. We talked about your advice for single dads on the interweb. Watched a couple of those. Those are great. Yeah, bad advice. I can't wait till you integrate your new sharp knife into your dad advice.
No, I'm worried about that. Yeah.
But we asked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions about who she is and who you are. And she's like, you got to run these by Dave when he's in, see if you guys match up.
Okay.
So who's more likely to be drinking a beer at a Broncos game, you or your sister? And this is, what did she say? And I guess you can answer both ways. What do you think she said, and what's your answer?
I think she is more likely.
No, she said you.
Really?
Yeah, she said you're just social guy. She doesn't like the scene. How about most likely be found walking through the woods in Colorado?
My sister.
Yes, that was.
Yeah, that's an easy one.
You don't find Dave in the woods.
Well, no, there's so many risky things take place in the woods. I mean,
like what?
There was so much danger.
Like what was it?
Bears.
David McDivitt, you got a pretty frog mouth.
Yeah, McDivitt.
All right, so that was an easy one.
Yeah, that's an easy one. I'm hung up on this beer thing. If she's a Sunday beer drinker, I'm not a big Sunday beer drinker.
Really?
Well, I shouldn't say she is, but she and her husband are willing to have a couple of beers on a Sunday, and I rarely do.
Well, that leads to this. More likely to be drinking a fancy water, you or your sister.
Well, I brought it with me. It's a Perrier.
I can't even pronounce the waters he brings into the studio.
Oh, I love Ross, I'm a fancy water junkie.
More likely to be up watching TV late at night, you or your sister?
My sister.
Yeah, that's right. Dude, you guys are almost on.
Well, I have to go to, I make it sound like my sister has no responsibility. She just drinks beer on Sunday.
Beer, stays up late watching TV.
No, but I don't know. I get my kids to bed, and it's being a single parent is a lot of work, man. You're just tired at the end of the day.
Just done?
Yeah.
And then this one, she said it was also the easy answer. Most likely to be eating a greasy cheeseburger, you or your sister?
Oh, probably I would be.
That's exactly right. She said, yeah, he loves his fast food.
I do.
And you smell, though. How do you do it?
Well,
metabolism?
I'm trying not to eat it as much. Yeah, and I drink a lot of water. I drink a lot of fancy water. Perrier. Would you? I'm waiting. If Perrier representatives are listening, I am waiting for you to pay me for these endorsements and a sponsorship.
That's funny. All right. Well, let's see here. Let's jump into some of our questions here. We're going to track down citizen Nate here in a few minutes about the ending of his child support. He's been on it his whole life, and he's done.
Yeah.
Nice job, too, dude. A lot of folks try to skate on that, and it's not cool.
No, he stood up for his obligations. That's fantastic.
I'm trying to track down Ronnie. He had an interesting run-in with the Arkansas police. Talk about scary. You don't go to the woods in Arkansas.
Well, maybe that's what happened.
for
Ronnie
sure.
did. You don't go to the woods, period. I'm kidding. I love Colorado.
But it's a risk factor.
I just don't want to be eaten by a
when you're in the
mountain lion.
woods. You can tell he's a lawyer. Ooh, that risk factor. You don't want to double it. So we'll see if we can try to Ronnie, because he gives a crazy story, but he doesn't really have a question. I guess we could come up with a couple different angles if we have to. Let us start, though, with citizen Janice, who checked in. Question for the Law Frog is, over the holidays, my neighbors bought an RV.
Bought an RV
that's now parked out in front of the house. This is already an eyesore, but then we noticed the other day that there's apparently people living inside. What the hell? They aren't my neighbors, so they must be his friends or family. They have a water hose and electricity running from the house to the RV, so it's occupied. Now, here's the stickler, Dick. Live in Pueblo County, out on the mesa. There's no HOA. Do I call the city? How long are they allowed to set up like this? Don't want to be a bitch about this, but I don't want my street turning into a shantytown. So what does Janice do? That's very interesting. If there's HOA, it's easy. They'd probably already slap a sticker on that son of a bitch.
They would never dare violate HOA laws.
Right.
Not with a plugged-in RV. This is a tricky question, and I'm sure there may be a really clear-cut answer for this. But I just haven't had a lot of experience with this. Now, and granted, there's an ordinance in Pueblo.
This is county.
Yeah, so this is county, so it can be a little tricky because sometimes these municipal ordinances don't extend outside of the municipality. So, if you're in Pueblo County, but you're not in the city of Pueblo, you're just in Pueblo County. And if it's unincorporated, you have to look at whatever there might going to be some county ordinances perhaps. And
who regulates the county?
Well,
obviously, I know the city of Colorado Springs, they got a business downtown I can go to, but
yeah, there's a board of county commissioners. Yeah, and they have administrative offices, and frankly, the sheriffs typically are county employees. You have a municipal police force, but then the sheriffs tend to be, at the county level.
Okay.
And so they would be the sheriffs, Pueblo County sheriffs, who'd come in and enforce if they could establish that there's a violation that they're violating. Violation they're violating. Do not violate a violation unless you're prepared to violate.
That's not redundant.
It's not. But anyway, so there is, in Pueblo, there's a regulation saying you can't actually do this. You can't turn an RV and occupy it on a residential lot and then actually live in it. You can't inhabit it. So, it even says no such equipment shall be used for living, sleeping, housekeeping purposes when parked or stored on a residential lot or in any location not approved for such use. The question is, does that apply? No, here's the more practical issue. From a pragmatic perspective, this is your neighbor. I think before you call the police on them, you may want to have a conversation so you understand what the situation is, especially when you call the police, too. It might be helpful to say, hey, or the sheriffs, so-and-so has invited their in-laws to come move in with them, but the move-in is an RV that they've parked in front of their house and they've plugged in, and I don't think that's going to fly. But it just depends on, where it is on their, is it on their lot? Is it just truly in the street?
We've had other neighbor-to-neighbor altercations, and that's usually the first step. Just ask nicely, first of all, hey, you had that out for Christmas? That was great and everything. Merry Christmas, but need to pack it up.
Yeah, it's like Christmas vacation. At some point, that RV needs to move on down the road.
So, all right, so she asked, they say, well, no. And then she goes, where's her next step then?
Well, I think then that she contacts I would contact the sheriff's office.
You're listening to the Law Frog Radio Show with David McDivitt and Ross Ford on Kilo 94.3 FM. Presented by McDivitt Law Firm.
Get some face tattoos. You be all the rage, D. McD.
Yeah, you know what? I'll be rocking that look. Yeah, I was going to say I don't have tattoos, but if I did, it might be Perrier. I'm still not getting a check from this company.
You might be the only person, if you did that, only person in the world with a Perrier tattoo.
Did you guys hear that? I don't know who owns you, Nestle or
right? Sponsor his single dad advice show on the old YouTube.
I've been trying for years.
All right, let's see here. We got Adelpha with a complicated one. We got Nate. You said Nate's pretty easy?
Well, it sounds. Let's talk to Nate.
Nate, first of all,
yes.
Congratulations. Thanks for doing the right thing and paying your child support over 18 years. Good for you.
But I'm looking forward to the end date.
I bet, man. Have some cash. So, child, 18 years of payments. Kid's almost 19. Emancipation. So, how does he get out of this whole thing? What is it? Family Support Registry wants to make his last payment be done. What's he do, D. McD?
All right, Nate. And with this caveat, which is you may still want to speak to a family law attorney to get full comfort with this answer. Is my understanding is in a situation like this, you don't have to really do anything. You make your last payment and you're done, unless there is some agreement otherwise. But basically emancipation occurs and the child support terminates without either party filing a motion when the last or only child reaches 19 years of age, unless some conditions exist. And for example, is this child still in high school? For example,
is your kid still in high school?
No, not in this case. He'll be finishing in the spring and then plans to go to college.
Oh, so the child is still in high school?
Currently, yes. But however, he'll be out of high school and then turning 19.
So,
so this is not something that just happened. So you didn't make your.
He's counting the days, Dave.
You were preparing yourself prospectively. Okay, yeah, that's usually the case, because if they're 19 and then before they graduate, typically you're on the hook until the month after graduation, that kind of a thing. And so there are caveats to some of this.
But it looks like he's kind of thumbs up, huh?
Yeah, there are. I can draw your attention if you there is a statute in Colorado that kind of controls this, and you can go there and find out. There are some other exceptions as well, Nate, and we don't necessarily need to get into some of it because I think it's kind of personal, but that might impact your obligations here. But no, I think just top level, generally the idea is once they reach 19, they're emancipated. You just make your last payment.
Nice, and then walk away, man. That's cool.
Fantastic, and looking forward to it, guys.
All right, thanks,
I'm sure you haven't planned anything to do with that extra money each month.
Broncos game, he's going to get a beer.
On a Sunday.
Get a sandwich. Cool. That's a nice when you make something actually click. Because we learned over the couple of years of doing this, and there are just so many different angles. And there's very rare these cases are just cut dry.
Yep.
It seems like it. And I read some of these stories like, oh, that's obvious. And it's always far from it. All right, let's go to Adelpho here on line 1 with an interesting one. He was granted custody and divorce, or partial custody, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, every other weekend with your kids. How many kids are we talking about there?
Just the one.
The one kid.
Only son.
All right. So his wife, as of September of last year, stopped letting him see his son. Yet the courts have said, hey, you get 3 days a week and every other weekend. What's wrong here, Dave?
Well, there's a lot wrong.
Well, but
I'll tell you this. I've been in a situation where I split, custody over the year. In one form, I'm a full-time single dad, but my ex still sees the kids. They have a loving relationship. And we're very fortunate. We have a good relationship. So, these things tend to work out, and that makes all the difference in the world. In your situation, Adolfo, it sounds like the court has entered a custody order. You get the child Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and alternating weekends. But you're saying since, I think you set off the air since September. Of last year of 2021. So we're about 3.5 months into this now. Let's just say for the last 3 months, you have not been able to see your son. Is that right?
It's super hard to hear you guys right now.
Oh, he's in his car. But what has she said? Why can't you see your kids? Why did she stop letting you see the kid?
Her reason is because I was inconsistent with my parenting time. But I had a lot of health issues going on, specifically H. pylori, so I was always throwing up, and I was getting sick for weeks on end and missing work, too. So I couldn't take care of my son, so I tell her, hey, I'm like, can you watch him? And she eventually is getting tired of it and was like, hey, no, you need to take me back to because you're not holding up your end of the bargain. And I'm like, I'm sick. I have a medical condition.
So, Adolfo, did you then go to court? Have you filed anything with because you can file a motion to enforce custody.
Is that something he can do?
Yeah, he can do that.
I'm currently going through the custody issue right now. I actually have to have her served today. I just got the letter, and they only gave me a day literally to serve her with her. But I just think it's mind-blowing that the police are not helping me when it's already in writing. Okay, but
here's the thing. In fairness to the law enforcement, in a situation like this, their priority is going to be in a situation where there is a child being withheld from another parent. Has that child gone missing? Or is the child in imminent threat of being hurt or something worse? is there a parent that's just gone missing? I mean, so that's one of those things where the police, you call 911, the police are going to take action. It's difficult for the police to enforce some of these, daily transactions. I'm supposed to get my kid today, but she won't let me have my child. Now, granted, I know this has been going on for several months here. There's enough of a history of this where, her position is, look, this wasn't healthy for the child. It's inconsistent. We need maybe to reframe the custody arrangement, and, you got to take them to court. So what you don't want to do, Adolfo, is take matters into your own hands and try to take your son back or, sneak in and do that. I mean, forget any of the legal issues you may run into. That's just horrible for the child. Right. And that's how the courts look at this. What is really in the best interests of the child? Now, they do it with an eye of making sure that the child has equal access to the parents to the extent that that is healthy for the child. But, a motion to enforce is likely your best option. And the judge may look at it and say, look, she shouldn't have been doing this, so you're going to get extra time. For a block of time, you're going to get more time with your son to make up, or there may be a financial hit to your ex for doing some of this. I mean, the court system is designed to work some of this out.
So step one, file a motion to enforce. That's something you do at the courthouse downtown?
And it sounds like, and there are ways to do this. You can go online and you can find out the appropriate forms to do this, but it sounds like Adolfo's done that. Is that what you have filed with the court, Adolfo?
Yeah, it was motions for contempt is what they told me to file.
Okay.
Similar?
So she's in violation of something, but and again, this gets outside of something I practice every day. So, my ultimate advice to anybody with a specific custody situation is make sure you're talking to a specialist, an attorney who specializes in family law and these custody matters, because it is, there's nothing more important than the relationship between a parent and a child. And, water is really important. You can't go a certain amount of days without water, but you get what I mean, even if it's Perrier.
And I see where the authorities kind of intervene or don't intervene.
Well, yeah.
Does our intervention into this do more damage than good at this point?
Right. Let's say she's an hour late for the drop-off. The police can't. There are so many things that can go wrong, and the courts want parents to do this together. That is the ultimate goal with this court system when it comes to family law, is for the parents to be able to work cooperatively to the greatest extent possible for the health and benefit of the child.
So next step for our friend here, what do you think?
Well, I think move forward with the motion, with the legal stuff. I think that's your best route here.
You're listening to the Law Frog Radio Show with David McDivitt and Ross Ford on Kilo 94.3 FM. Presented by McDivitt Law Firm.
All right, Ronnie goes wild in Arkansas. We'll get to that story here in a second. We could get a hold of him, so we'll kind of deduce what his question might have been here. We do have Kristen, though, with an interesting scenario. So her ex enrolled her kid into a school, didn't inform her about it. School denied that it was even happening. Like, what? No, but not us. Turns out, yes, it is. She wants to know if she can sue the school because father didn't have the right without the 50-50 consent to get the kid into the school. Is that kind of how it works, Kristen?
Yeah, kind of. So we have a joint decision-making, with our custody arrangement. He was working at the school and had applied for her to be enrolled months before she actually got drawn. It's like a lottery.
And never even told you he entered your kid into this drawing?
No.
Is it like Squid Games? Is it like a Squid Game school?
It's charter school.
Okay.
I wish it was something, that easy.
So,
no, it's not a Hunger Games.
And your aversion to have your kid in the school is because what? Just because he did it without telling you?
No, it's not that. It's for multiple reasons. My daughter is autistic. She's not getting the help that she needs. She's already been enrolled in another place for months, or no, for years, really, because it was.
What approximate age level are we talking? Are we talking about elementary school then, I'm assuming?
She's a kindergartner, yeah.
She's in kindergarten. Okay. All right. And does this school then presumably go beyond kindergarten as well?
I'm sure they do.
Okay. All right. But here's another question. Do you guys live in the same city? Is your daughter, I'm assuming you're doing 50-50 custody. You're both in the same general area, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So he makes a decision to enroll her in a school without your explicit permission.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And And you both have, though, cooperatively been taking her to school. You on your days, he on his days, correct?
No.
No.
When she's with me, I pick her up and I take her to where she has been enrolled for 2 years.
Okay, so she's now going to 2 schools at the same time?
Well, technically, yeah. She had been going to the one that I had been taking her to, again, for a few years.
Okay.
When he decided to enroll her in this lottery, I had sent that school my custody agreement saying, look, you can't do this without my permission. I don't want her going to school here for A, B, and C. And they emailed me back and said, no, we won't enroll her without your permission. We understand what the custody arrangement is.
Pander.
Right.
And then next thing you know, she's in the school. Wow. It's like, man, that kid's got a double life. Only in kindergarten.
5 months worth of correspondence back and forth saying
Wow.
no, that they didn't enroll her when they enrolled her in January.
I
right.
see
Well,
by the look on your face, David, you are perplexed.
Well, I'm a little perplexed, but I mean, look, I think your real issue is not with the school; it's with your ex, because whether the school enrolled her or not, he continues to take her there, obviously because he works there. So you've got a daughter who's now splitting her kindergarten experience, I think, in 2. I mean, from what it sounds like, in 2 different schools. Which I'm not an educator. I just don't know how healthy that is.
Yeah, but because the school should take her better for the kid with autism.
Well,
and who decides this then? Where do they go from here?
Right. So a couple of things. Number one, I think you need to address the issue, perhaps with the court system, because clearly there's been some kind of, there's either enough ambiguity in the custody agreement that your ex feels he can do this, or that the school felt that they were allowed to go ahead and ignore your emails.
Right. And so let's take the personal stuff aside. The relationship is always tough with an ex, and especially with the kid in the mix as well. Does she have any legal ground then to sue the school that accepted the kid without the 50-50 consent?
It's tough to tell. Without having access to the actual custody agreement and the chain of communication and what the ex said. I mean, there's so many complicating things here that something may have happened. He may have been communicating to the school saying, regardless of what she said, she's actually given me permission. I can do this. Right. I don't have all of the information. So it's really, it's hard for me to say, yeah, you can go ahead and just sue the school for this. Keep in mind, this is a very complicated thing. Charter schools, this is a public entity still. I mean, it's not, your traditional public school, but I mean, it's paid for with tax dollars. I mean, it's overseen through the public school system. So, I mean, it's a complicated process to sue them for something like this when your real issue isn't the school letting her go there. It is your ex taking her to that school. I mean, as I see it. And I think there needs to be a resolution, more clarity, and maybe an enforcement action through the court to make sure that this doesn't happen again, but so that this doesn't perpetuate, because next year she will be in first grade. And then what do you do from there, or in second grade? I mean, this needs to be addressed right away, and a protracted litigation against the school isn't going to get you anywhere. You guys need to sort out where your daughter needs to be.
It's tough. Again, ain't no easy answers in this joint, is there?
No, not easy. Not easy, but I do think you need to address this with the courts.
Good luck.
Yeah, and we're supposed to go in April for a final hearing. It's part of all of this stuff that's going on. I wanted to disenroll her because she's not getting the help she needs there, and so it's been a big issue. He continues to take her there. I have to pick her up from there and then take her to where I have been taking her for years. And
they'll be doing that for another 3 months until April, you said, right?
And you may be able to file something for an expedited hearing, emergency issue, but and then the court you may end up with a parental responsibility evaluation to determine who really,
which is better.
Yeah.
Well, good luck, Kristen. Thanks for the time here this morning. I wish we could give you that smoking.
Thanks, Kristen.
Man, that's tough. That's why I don't have kids there.
It's not the only reason, Ross.
Well, the state says I can't, but
that's kind of a deal.
What up, Polis? You can't tell me what I can do.
Okay, for the record, I don't think Polis is telling anybody whether they can or cannot have kids. But in case there's somebody out there listening, I told you so.
I got a letter to the contrary.
I got an aluminum foil on my ceiling telling me.
Now let's get to Ronnie's wild night in Arkansas, as I can understand. If I find myself in Arkansas, I'm going to drink until I black out. So I forget that I'm in Arkansas. But we couldn't get a hold of you, Ronnie. We tried because we don't have a question. Just an amazing story. I kind of assume what his question would have been. As Ronnie's email, I was pulled over in Arkansas, conducted a field sobriety test. They said I failed. They put me in the car, asked if I would do a breathalyzer. I told them I would, but they had to take him to the jailhouse because they didn't have any more tubes. I hate it when the breathalyzer tubes run out. Don't you, Dave?
Constantly.
So arrives at the police station and refused then to take the breath test. They then took him to a hospital, saying to obtain a warrant, made him do a blood test. And then they returned him back to the place he was staying. He didn't have to go to jail. He didn't get a ticket. He doesn't remember them reading his rights. So I assume his question was going to be, what do I do next?
Maybe the question, because it sounds like you just had a really interesting night.
Right.
You know, I mean, there's no ticket. There will be, you weren't arrested. I mean, there may be something on the police blotter saying we pulled this person over, and, you know, you might have.
Now, could you assume, I don't know how quickly those blood test results happen. Are they instant?
That's a good question.
I have no idea. Yeah, I mean,
it's been a while since I've looked at
those. It's been a while since I had to do a blood test at the hospital because there's a thing called Uber. I don't know if you heard about that. It's pretty cool. So I assume,
Ronnie, what happened and why? I mean, do you not remember because there was something else going on here, or you're just saying it was just such I was just so stressed out and I don't know what happened.
Were there aliens involved, Ronnie? So I'd assume if they let him go, he's fine. Now, let's say they did a blood test and it's not instant results because it's, after all, Arkansas. And then a week later, they finally get his results back. Yeah, he was a little over the limit. Can they send him a ticket? They can't drive to Colorado and drag him back to Arkansas, can they, for that?
Well, you can have an active, arrest warrant.
But as long as you stay out of Arkansas, right? So I remember, I don't know if this is still the case. My grandfather he had a serious lead foot. And there's legendary stories. There's like 5 states that he had tickets that he never paid that he couldn't go back to. But he's a 90-something-year-old man. Yeah. But that's the way it worked back then. They didn't have computers to link up to the other. So you get popped in Arkansas. Hell, no one knows about it except for those folks right there in Arkansas.
Yeah. It's
a different world now, though, right? Because we're so interconnected. I mean, obviously, and come back I don't know.
Have you seen Super Troopers?
Yes. Meow.
This sounds like something out of Super Troopers. You go have a good night.
Just scared him straight, maybe, is what you think?
That's exactly right.
That is awesome. All right, Ronnie, your wild night in Arkansas. I wish we had the rest of that story, huh?
Oh, yeah. I mean, but the bottom line is if you're not Mirandized, then, I mean, basically any statements you make, it really can't be used then. But
then his thing said, he says, I do not remember getting Mirandized. So maybe he's just too drunk?
Yeah, but I mean, and that maybe. I mean, it just depends on how voluntarily somebody just started talking. I mean, it just, gosh, Ronnie, I just don't know. 80, man. We're going to give him
80-20 in the clear. Let's go with that, right?
Sounds good to me.
80-20, the fact that you
with these facts?
Any times and they just took you home and dropped you off. That's pretty good with those cops. They should do that more often.
You probably owe them some money.
You're listening to the Law Frog Radio Show with David McDivitt and Ross Ford on Kilo 94.3 FM. Presented by McDivitt Law Firm.
And now we go to wrapping things up with another dark secret from David McDivitt. Is it fact or fiction? Your sister said long ago when you were a young buck, you traveled to lands abroad. You went to Europe. Mm-hmm. And when her young brother, young D. McD, returned, you dyed your hair bleach blonde.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
She said you looked like some kind of Nordic prince.
Yeah, well, thank you. That was kind of her. I thought I looked like...
I was thinking like that cat.
Ragdoll.
You ever watch Game of Thrones?
I know.
He's one of the Targaryens. He eventually got a golden crown, which is not as good as it sounds.
Okay.
But he had beautiful white hair, and I was like, that's kind of what David... Did you ride a dragon?
I didn't ride a dragon. I think it was a Boeing. But no, I came back, and then I let it, kind of grow out, too. So I had the bleach tips, too. I mean, it was...
So what pushed you? What was the Euro influence that made you dye your hair blonde? I'm curious.
It was just the thing. It was the late 90s. That's what you did. That's what real men did.
No, I had a buddy doing hair. And his hair fuzzed out. He looked like the drummer for Guns N' Roses, Steven Adler. It was badass.
I didn't look like Steven Adler.
No.
Or Slash. Ever.
Awesome.
I wish.
There you go. Dark secrets.
Thanks, Ross.
Our lawyer.
Thank you for listening to the Law Frog Radio Show with David McDivitt and Ross Ford on Kilo 94.3 FM, presented by McDivitt Law Firm.